Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of this replay between OKHabit and seppL here on Metalopolis. seppL now using these Mutalisks, going Overlord hunting, and now using these Overlords, really supply locking and Habit. Habit now in a little bit of trouble there. 2 Mutalisks fighting 3. I don't know what he was really thinking in this particular situation. Does have 1 queen out. Perhaps should get a 2nd queen as well to start transfusing these Mutalisks, moving a spine crawler down to this low ground as well, and trying to set up an additional or a natural expansion hatchery. Harvester count 20 harvesters for OKHabit, only 28 for seppL. So both of them sitting fairly low in terms of any macro production. Both players really just having a stronger army, trying to press out with that army, and this really attacking with smaller tactical units, more of a micro game than a macro game. Now we have 4 Mutalisks going to try to engage 7, and that is not going to be a very, very good sight there. Those Mutalisks now able to take down that 1 creep tumor, trying to limit the amount of movement speed for these units. 1 queen sitting there trying to perhaps we'll be able to get in a couple of those acid spines into the backs of that Mutalisk, but that Mutalisk able to pull back again. Here there's an Overlord keeping this track, and now more Zerglings coming in, and this Zergling Mutaling army may be enough to break through this front door and be able to hold this off. There's only 1 spine crawler, a couple of 4 roaches and 4 Mutalisks, and in comes this fight. Those Mutalisks are not engaging, and now that those Mutalisks are not engaging, finally the armies are trying to balance out a little bit further, but seppL sitting on almost a dozen Mutalisks will be able to take this game and most likely force a GG. So, there is 1 Spore Crawler, however, but those Zerglings now running in, also to take down a lot of those harvesters as well. So OKHabit running off of a single base. The hatchery of OKHabit going to be taken down. Down it goes. Very nice micro there, making sure that the Zerglings were not nearby after those Broodlings were spawned by the destruction of that of that Zerg hatchery. And now a quick recap on the game. Really, seppL played pretty smart that whole entire time, using those Banelings. I think one of the major problems that OKHabit had was he wasn't able to really guard his choke point nearly that well. He really wanted to guard his choke points. A couple of times Zerglings were able to do a quick run by, even though there was 2 or 3 roaches sitting on that ramp. If those roaches were sitting there, Zerglings could have been caught up or held up on that ramp. He would not have been so far behind economically. Second, he went for a Spire, and I do not agree with the Spire play. When you know that your opponent in this situation most likely is already ahead of you tech-wise, he most likely is going to be going for Mutalisks. So I would have tried to, or I would have highly suggested Hydralisk instead. Hydralisk, mineral for mineral, gas for gas, and will always win in a fight versus Mutalisks. There is always the problem of trying to deal with those Banelings. Banelings deal extra splash damage towards those Hydralisks, but those Hydralisks have such a high rate of speed, and if you're able to focus down those Banelings, the Banelings are such gas-intensive units that your opponent would be forced to switch from Mutalisks to Banelings. And since you have more of a Roach and Hydralisk tech, you would be able to handle that Baneling Mutalisk army much more easily. So OKHabit did finally get an evolution chamber. No weapons upgrade or armor upgrades though, so that is a little bit curious to me as well, but no real issue there. Mutalisk, trying to think of any other recaps. Yeah, another thing, OKHabit only went for 1 queen. A lot of Zerg in the original patch, or a lot of the original thought behind the queen was you always had 1 queen per hatchery. That is no longer the case. You really need 2 queens, almost like 1.5 queens per hatchery. You want 1 extra queen. If OKHabit had 1 extra queen that whole entire fight, he would have been able to transfuse low hit point Mutalisks, which is essentially 100 minerals and 100 gas, if you think about it that way, because a queen is able to heal up 125 hit points. A 1 hit point Mutalisk versus 125 hit point Mutalisk, that's worth the 50 energy. In addition to that, the queen is able to outrange a Mutalisk, so that queen should be able to at least focus down that Mutalisk as that Mutalisk is trying to run around your base. I did like the fact that he was trying to set up an additional hatchery. I'm just not sure if I would have tried to put the hatchery out at the expansion already. and perhaps even I don't know. Perhaps I'm just talking, but an additional hatchery even within your own base, because it's very difficult. Well, actually no. Actually, I'll go ahead and agree with OKHabit's trying to set up a natural expansion. He really needed to macro up more. He really needed to increase his harvester count. Yeah, queens are really the key in this particular instance. One of the reasons why the queen is so important is that the queen doesn't take a larva. So the fact that a queen does not take a larva allows you to continue to produce drones, continue to produce hydralisks, continue to produce roaches without slowing down your economy or your macro. The queen can never hurt your macro. So yeah, additional queen always helpful in this particular instance. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I realize that I never asked you guys to subscribe to me. So if you guys like my videos, please subscribe. Maybe my subscriber count will go up, and maybe I'll be able to get some Google sponsorship as well, just like HD and Husky. Congrats to them for getting the Google sponsorship. I know that like all of us shoutcasters work very hard to just give our insights, and yeah. Once again, thanks again, and I hope to see you guys on Battle.net, and I'm pretty much counting down the days of the StarCraft 2 release when I'll be able to go through the single player campaign, because the lore and the story is one of the things that I've really been missing from the StarCraft universe. Anyways, thanks for watching.